what's up?
Yeah. I pull up with a throwback dime. She say she's 25, she at least 29. But man, them hips on her, lips on her, finna let it rip on her, flip on her, then dip on her. This is for them classy chicks, them undercover nasty chicks, them trashy chicks.
What up? It's your boy Cardinal Red, and we back with some more of that Ali Land daily boxing talk, people. And today we talking Manny Pacquiao wants 2 fights in 2021. Who should he fight? Alright, y'all, so interesting topic here. You know, Manny Pacquiao's recently come out and said that he wants to make his return to the boxing world in April or late March of 2021. And my question to the fight world is, who should Manny Pacquiao fight? Now, a lot of people think he should go ahead and fight Mikey Garcia, being that they already had a matchup set up for last year, but it didn't come to fruition because of what's going on in the world. And then you have a crowd of people who think he should just go ahead and fight Errol Spence Jr. And then you have a crowd of people who think he should fight Terence Crawford next. You got your people who want the McGregor fight, and me personally, I think he should fight who is his actual mandatory, Jordanius you guys. Because you guys is actually the WBA welterweight champion, regular champion, but for some reason it's not being recognized. So with all those names being thrown out and surrounding Manny Pacquiao, who should Manny Pacquiao actually fight in his first fight of 2021? Now, me personally, I don't think he should jump right into the Errol Spence Jr. fight, simply because, you know, I feel like that should be a retirement fight for Pacquiao, and it should be for all the belts. Being that Errol Spence holds the majority of the welterweight belts, I just feel like that should be a unification fight. Now, I do want to see him take on Terence Crawford, because I think he can beat Crawford easier than he can beat Spence. I think he can beat Spence too, but I think Crawford would be the easier of the two matchups. And I really don't think he should have to fight Crawford first as a return match, because it just doesn't make sense to take a over a year long layoff, almost a year and a half, maybe 2 years by the time he fights, long layoff, and then come back with a Terence Crawford fight. It doesn't make sense in the aspect of, why would you come into such a dangerous fight, being that you've been off for so long? Why wouldn't you step in, you know, get your burns back, similar to what Errol Spence just did? I mean, Danny Garcia is a dangerous fight, but Danny Garcia is not, it doesn't compare to if Errol Spence would have came back and fought Terence Crawford as his first fight back from the accident, or if he would have came back and fought Manny Pacquiao as his first fight back from the accident, or if he would have came back and said, you know what, I'm jumping up in weight, I'm going to go fight Canelo Alvarez as my first fight back from the accident, which would have been, you know, completely a foolish move. So I don't think it would be smart on Pacquiao's part to come back and face straight off with one of these guys. Now, he said he want to make his return in April, which means he's not going to fight Errol Spence Jr. first. And the people that are reporting that the Errol Spence Jr. fight is a done deal already are just sadly mistaken, man. It's not a done deal yet. Errol Spence says he wants to fight in the summer of 2021 next, and Manny Pacquiao's talking like he wants to make his return in April or maybe late March of 2021. So with that being said, you know, I've stated in the past that maybe Manny Pacquiao would fight Conor McGregor later on in the year, and that's what was being reported. But as I look at this, you know, if anything, if he's going to face off with Conor McGregor, why not go ahead and take that exhibition fight first? That way it can be sort of a tune-up for either a Errol Spence fight or a Terence Crawford fight, because Pacquiao definitely needs a tune-up. And I think that would be, it wouldn't be an actual boxing or a professional fight, but it would be a good workout, you know, a good way for Pacquiao to test his skills before he jumps right back into the ring with a prime welterweight. Now, there are other names out there he could get in the ring with in April, such as Mikey Garcia. Once again, my only problem with him fighting Mikey Garcia is that Mikey Garcia is 1-1 as a welterweight. He lost to Errol Spence, and I believe he beat what's his name? Jesse Vargas. I think he fought Vargas and beat Vargas. I might be mistaken, but I believe it was Vargas he fought. So he could actually take on Mikey Garcia. Would be a good fight. Would be a war. But I don't see Mikey beating Pacquiao, number one, and Mikey's just not a similar body type to Crawford or Spence. So why even take that fight? It's a slightly dangerous fight for Pacquiao. It's not too bad. I still got Pacquiao winning, but it's a dangerous fight. Mikey's still a young guy, he's strong. He's still fast. He's just now coming up into the welterweight division. But if he fights anybody, I would like for him to fight Jordanius you guys, simply because you guys has the body type of Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. He's a taller guy. He's a flat-footed fighter. He's not a very speedy guy, so it would be the perfect matchup for Manny Pacquiao to test his skills as a return from the Keith Thurman fight, and to face off against a professional fighter who is very similar to a Terence Crawford or Errol Spence Jr. Jordanius you guys is very, very similar. Only thing is he has a couple of losses on his record, and like I stated earlier, man, he is actually a welterweight champion in some people's eyes. In other people's eyes, then he's not recognized. But I just feel like that would be the best matchup for Manny Pacquiao to take. Now, if he does actually go that route and just faces off with his mandatory, or faces off with Mikey, or I've heard some reports about Danny. If you listen to my last, go back and watch my last video, there's some reports about Danny's name being thrown out there. But the problem with Danny is he just lost, so what's the point in fighting Danny Garcia? He can't be the mandatory because he just lost. I don't understand how Mikey could be his mandatory, because Mikey is, like I said, 1-1, is ranked number 3 in the WBA. So I don't understand how Mikey could be the mandatory for Pacquiao, and I just don't understand why people want him to fight Mikey so bad. Now there is one more name out there who would be a great matchup for Pacquiao. There's a couple of other names out there. Don't let me get to lying, but there's one more big name out there who Pacquiao hasn't faced off with yet, and that would be Shawn Porter. Now, Shawn Porter is not ranked as high as some of these other guys, but Shawn Porter would be an extremely tough fight for Pacquiao if he was to take the Porter fight as some type of a tune-up for Spence or Crawford. Porter not as similar to those two guys, but would be a tough fight, would be a battle. And if he's just going to take a battle to come back on, then why not? Why not Shawn Porter? You feel me? So, that's my take on that. As far as his first fight back in April, if he actually goes through with that. Now, when it comes to who's the better of the top welterweights, Errol Spence Jr. or Terence Crawford, if he had to pick between those two guys and he had to fight one of those guys, instead of taking a tune-up, he had to go straight into one of those fights, because he is about to run for the presidency of the Philippines, and he's got a lot of political things coming up in his future. So, why not just go for it all? I think in some people's mind, instead of keep taking these fights and possibly losing. In my personal opinion, if he had to pick one of the two, like I stated earlier, I would much rather it be Terence Crawford. I just feel like there was something that Bob Arum and Top Rank saw in Crawford, and there's something that they saw in Pacquiao, and they believe Pacquiao could beat Crawford. This is why they never matched them up together. And I just feel like, with that being said, that Terence Bud Crawford will be the easier road to take, and he could possibly unify with the title that Terence Crawford holds easier than he could go take out Errol Spence Jr. And the problem with the Spence Jr. fight is if Spence doesn't want to fight until later in the year of 2021, then that's definitely not going to be the matchup. So he would only have to choose between his mandatory Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, or a Terence Crawford fight. So, let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. Who should he actually pick? Should it be Crawford? Because I think those are the names that are most likely he'll fight in April or late March. It would be Crawford, Porter, Garcia, or Garcia, with the possibility of Jordanius you guys being thrown in there as well. Out of those names, who would you guys, let me know down in the comment section, who would you guys rather see him fight next? And I want to see everybody give a comment about this, man. Please hit that like button for me, and subscribe. But I really want to hear people's opinion about that. With so many names surrounding Pacquiao, let's exclude Errol Spence Jr. because if Spence Jr. is not fighting until later in the year, there's no possibility of him fighting Errol Spence Jr. first. So let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. It's your boy Cardinal Red, and we are out of here.
Niggas know what's up. I pull up with a throwback dime. She say she's 25, she at least 29. But man, them hips on her, lips on her, finna let it rip on her, flip on her, then dip on her. This is for them classy chicks, them undercover nasty chicks, them trashy chicks.